Anyone can sound confident when life is calm. But the moment tension rises, your tone reveals who you truly are. Under pressure, most people speak fast, react emotionally, and lose authority. Leaders do the opposite. They slow down, speak less, and control the energy in the room. This audiobook will teach you how to talk with composure when it matters most, how to think clearly, speak confidently, and lead powerfully under pressure. Anyone can sound confident when life is calm. But the moment tension rises, your tone reveals who you truly are. Under pressure, most people speak fast, react emotionally, and lose authority. Leaders do the opposite. They slow down, speak less, and control the energy in the room. This audiobook will teach you how to talk with composure when it matters most, how to think clearly, speak confidently, and lead powerfully under pressure. Chapter 1. Control your voice, control the room. When pressure hits, the first thing people lose is their voice. Not the ability to speak, but the ability to command. They start talking faster. Their breathing gets shallow. Their tone turns sharp, nervous, defensive. And in that instant, they lose authority, because people don't follow panic. Leaders, on the other hand, do something completely different. They slow down. They breathe. They let silence work for them. They let their voice shape the atmosphere instead of reacting to it. That's what we're going to build in this chapter: vocal control under pressure. Because when you control your voice, you control the situation. Say it again. Control your voice, control the room. Your breath is your anchor. Leadership begins with breathing. Every strong voice rests on oxygen and rhythm. When you're under pressure, your brain screams, "Hurry!" But your power comes from doing the opposite, slowing down your breath. Here's the simple pattern used by top negotiators, military leaders, and athletes. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Do it again, slow, steady, silent. You're not just breathing. You're signaling your body that you are safe. And when your body feels safe, your mind regains clarity. Remember this: people can hear your breathing before you speak. If it's fast, they'll feel your tension. If it's calm, they'll feel your certainty. Before you speak in a tense room, breathe first. That single act separates amateurs from leaders. Because leadership is control, and control begins with oxygen. 2. Tone over volume. Most people mistake loudness for power. But real authority doesn't shout, it resonates. Your tone carries emotional frequency. It tells the listener what you believe about yourself. When you raise your voice, you admit you've lost control. When you lower it, slow it, anchor it, you project unshakable confidence. Listen to the leaders you admire. They don't rush, they don't yell. They own time by owning tone. Imagine you're in a heated meeting. Someone attacks your idea. Instead of matching their energy, drop yours by 10%. Say less, speak slower, lower your tone. The energy in the room will follow you down, because people's nervous systems sync to the calmest person present. Always remember that rule. The calmest voice controls the conversation. That's how you take command without ever raising your voice. 3. Word pacing is authority. Pressure makes people speak faster, but fast speech sounds like fear. When you pause, you create gravity. You give your words weight. You show that you're not reacting, you're deciding. Every pause is a silent declaration. I'm in control. You don't need to fill every second with noise. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly. Leaders say less, mean more. Here's a practical drill. Record yourself reading a paragraph when you're relaxed. Then read it again, pretending you're under stress. You'll notice how speed steals authority. Train yourself to keep the same pace in chaos as you do in calm. That's mental discipline expressed through the voice. 4. Disarming chaos through calm speech. Tense moments spread like fire. One raised voice can ignite an entire group, but a calm voice can extinguish it. When everyone else gets emotional, your goal is not to win the argument. Your goal is to stabilize the environment. If someone's shouting, lower your volume. If they're rushing, slow down. If they're emotional, stay factual. Soon, their system starts matching yours. That's emotional contagion in reverse. You're using psychology as leadership. You've seen it in crisis leaders, pilots, doctors, negotiators. When everyone panics, they speak slowly, evenly, almost rhythmically. They give the brain of the group something steady to hold on to. That's what you're building here. A voice that disarms chaos and replaces it with clarity. 5. The trust effect. People don't trust what they can't predict. And your voice is a pattern they subconsciously evaluate. If it jumps, shakes, or changes tone every few seconds, they won't feel safe. If it's stable, consistent, measured, they'll follow you, even in uncertainty. That's the secret to charisma under pressure. Not charm, not fancy words, just a consistent rhythm that feels reliable. Try this. End your sentences fully. Don't trail off. Don't rise in pitch like a question. Finish strong like a statement. Because confidence lives in the period, not the question mark. When your voice communicates, "I know what happens next," people trust you, even if you're still figuring it out inside. 6. Voice as energy transfer. Your voice doesn't just carry information, it carries emotion. Every word you say transmits an internal state. If you speak from tension, you spread tension. If you speak from focus, you spread focus. If you speak from calm conviction, the room begins to settle. That's the real job of a leader, to regulate the collective nervous system through tone. When you talk, ask yourself, what am I transferring right now? Fear or focus? Reaction or direction? Your tone is a thermostat, not a thermometer. Don't measure the room, set the temperature. 7. Practical reset technique. When you feel your voice losing power, do this reset. 1. Inhale deeply through your nose. 2. Drop your shoulders. 3. Speak half a sentence in your head before saying it out loud. This half-second mental delay puts your thoughts back in charge of your mouth. It turns reaction into response. In that gap lives leadership. Use it every time you're interrupted, provoked, or pressured to respond instantly. The longer your gap, the stronger your grip on the moment. Let's anchor today's lesson. Repeat this until it becomes muscle memory. Control your voice, and you control the situation. Control your voice, and you control the room. Control your voice, and you control yourself. Say it before a meeting. Say it before conflict. Say it until it's instinct. Because leadership isn't something you switch on. It's something you train. 9. Bringing it all together. When you walk into a room, your energy speaks first. Then your eyes. Then your voice. If your voice is steady, the room relaxes. If your voice is scattered, the room mirrors your confusion. This is why communication is not about words. It's about state. Your state becomes your sound. Your sound becomes your influence. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need motivational quotes. You need presence. And presence begins with your breath, your tone, and your timing. That's how you control the room, by mastering the instrument everyone else ignores, your voice. You've learned to control the voice. You've learned to breathe through chaos and speak with authority. But leadership isn't only about what you say. It's also about what you don't say. Silence can be your strongest sentence. So now that you've mastered your sound, let's master your silence. Let's anchor today's lesson. Why speed kills authority. We live in a world addicted to speed. Fast replies, instant opinions, constant noise. And that's why true composure is so rare. When you rush your words, you sound uncertain. You signal that you need to prove yourself. You sound reactive, not reflective. But the moment you slow down, the power shifts. You show that you're not chasing the conversation, you're controlling it. Think about this. The strongest people in any room never rush. They wait. They listen. They make others lean in. When you pause, people feel your confidence, because only someone sure of themselves can stand still in silence. Remember, speed kills credibility. Calm builds command. 3. Silence creates tension. The good kind. A pause isn't emptiness. It's anticipation. It forces people to focus. It makes them feel your words instead of just hearing them. When you drop silence after a statement, the brain of your listener scrambles to fill it. They replay what you said. They internalize it. They remember it. That's why great speakers pause after every key idea. They don't rush to the next line. They let the audience absorb the current one. Try this in your next conversation. State your point, then stop talking. Count 1, 2, silently. Watch how the room holds its breath. That's not awkwardness. That's control. 4. The pause disarms emotion. Anger feeds on instant response. Conflict escalates because people trade words too fast. When you pause, you break the emotional chain. You refuse to mirror the chaos. You replace heat with thought. Imagine someone challenges you. Why did you make that decision? Instead of defending instantly, pause. Breathe. Look at them. Then answer slowly. That moment of stillness resets the emotional tone. It signals that you're not threatened, and that confidence diffuses theirs. Repetition theme. The pause is not weakness. It's strategy. 5. How to train the pause habit. You won't master silence by accident. You have to train it into your speech pattern. Start with micro pauses, half a second between thoughts. Then expand to 2-second pauses before important replies. Try this daily drill. 1. Record yourself answering a question fast. 2. Then answer the same question with deliberate pauses. 3. Compare the tone, the weight, the confidence. You'll notice something. The second version feels like leadership. Why? Because silence makes people listen longer and trust deeper. Practice in low-stakes moments, ordering coffee, greeting colleagues, answering simple questions. Slow your rhythm there so it becomes natural when the stakes rise. 6. Silence protects you. The pause also guards you from saying what you'll regret. It gives your logic time to filter your emotion. In negotiation, silence forces the other side to speak first. In arguments, it prevents you from oversharing. In leadership, it keeps your authority intact. Never underestimate the value of saying nothing. Because once words are out, you can't take them back. Silence never needs to be corrected. The less you say, the less you have to apologize for. And in the long run, restraint builds more respect than reaction ever will. 7. The psychology of dominant timing. Leadership is timing. You decide when things happen. When you pause, you make others wait. Waiting equals attention. Attention equals power. Think of a judge delivering a sentence. They don't rush their words. They build suspense, authority, and clarity with every pause. When you control the tempo, you control perception. You sound deliberate. You sound intelligent. You sound in command. So next time someone pushes you to answer quickly, remember, speed serves them. Silence serves you. 8. How to use pauses tactically. Let's get practical. Use pauses in 3 key moments. 1. Before you answer, to show thought. 2. After you make a point, to create impact. 3. When you're interrupted, to reclaim control. These 3 pauses transform your communication instantly. Example: someone cuts you off mid-sentence. Don't fight for the floor. Stop. Look at them. Wait. Your silence will make them stop talking faster than any argument. Then continue, calmly, as if nothing happened. That's dominance without aggression. 9. The courage to be silent. Silence requires bravery. It feels uncomfortable at first. Your ego hates the gap because it wants validation. But every second you spend mastering silence is a second you strengthen self-control. Leaders don't fear quiet, they use it. They let silence reveal who's uncomfortable, and it's never them. When you become comfortable in silence, you become unshakable, because nothing external can rush you. That's emotional independence, and that's power. 10. Reinforcement and transition. Let's lock in today's lesson. Repeat this until it becomes instinct. The pause is not weakness, it's strategy. The pause is not silence, it's strength. The pause is not empty, it's control. Control time, and you control perception. Control perception, and you control influence. That's the real mastery of leadership under pressure. You've learned to slow the world down with nothing but your voice and your patience. Now it's time to go deeper. Because speaking under pressure isn't just about sound or silence. It's about mastering the storm inside you. You've controlled your voice. You've mastered the pause. Now you learn to control the emotion that tries to control you. Chapter 3. Emotion under command. Pressure doesn't break people. Reaction does. Every leader feels stress. Every strong mind feels anger, frustration, fear, and doubt. But what separates leaders from followers is this: they don't let emotion speak first. They master it. They command it. Your emotions are energy. They can destroy clarity, or they can fuel power. And in this chapter, you'll learn how to control that energy before it controls you. 1. The illusion of control. Most people think controlling emotion means feeling nothing. That's not control. That's suppression. Suppression is weakness disguised as strength. You don't hide emotion. You harness it. Control doesn't mean coldness. It means direction. Anger can become focus. Fear can become alertness. Stress can become performance fuel. But only if you decide what each emotion means. Leaders don't ask, "Why am I feeling this?" They ask, "What can I do with this?" That's emotional discipline. Not denial, redirection. 2. The chain reaction of emotion. Here's the truth. Your emotion doesn't start in your head. It starts in your body. Heart rate up, breath short, jaw tight, voice sharp. And before your brain can even interpret it, your mouth reacts. That's how people lose control. They speak from their nerves, not their judgment. But if you slow the body, you slow the emotion. That's the secret. Your physiology is your remote control. Breathe slower, think clearer. Relax shoulders, speak calmer. Pause, power returns. Emotion doesn't dominate calm physiology. Control your body, and you'll control the message your brain sends next. That's why military, pilots, and crisis negotiators all train breathing before talking. Because whoever controls their body controls the moment. 3. The power of labeling. Science shows one simple act can cut emotional intensity in half. Naming it. Say it quietly in your mind. This is anger. This is fear. This is stress. Why does it work? Because naming moves emotion from the amygdala, instinct, to the prefrontal cortex, logic. You turn chaos into clarity by language. You give the storm a label, and the label gives you distance. Leaders don't drown in emotion. They step back, name it, and choose their response. That's the power of awareness. Emotion only controls what you refuse to confront. 4. Transforming pressure into focus. Pressure is energy waiting for direction. The untrained person crumbles under it. The trained leader channels it into performance. You can't eliminate adrenaline, but you can assign it a purpose. Before a tough conversation, before a speech, before a crisis, don't fight the pressure. Tell yourself, this energy is readiness. This isn't fear, it's focus. You're reprogramming your brain's meaning system. Same sensation, different story. Because emotion doesn't care about truth, it follows the story you attach to it. Change the story, and you change your emotional reality. That's mental toughness. 5. The leadership rule. Feel, then speak. When you feel triggered, pause. Don't trust the first sentence that appears. Emotion speaks in urgency. Wisdom speaks in delay. Say to yourself, feel first, respond later. Even a 3-second pause turns impulse into influence. Great leaders are not emotionless. They're just emotionally scheduled. They don't speak from the storm. They speak after it passes. Your new rule? No reaction without reflection. 6. Emotional contagion. The hidden leadership weapon. Emotions spread faster than logic. One person's panic can infect 10 others. But one person's calm can reset an entire room. This is called emotional contagion, and leaders use it intentionally. When you walk in calm, speak measured, and move slow, you unconsciously rewire the emotional tone of everyone around you. Your presence becomes medicine. Your tone becomes anchor. Never forget, people borrow emotional stability. When yours is high, theirs rises. When yours cracks, they collapse. So if you can't control emotion for yourself, control it for them. Because leadership isn't about how you feel, it's about what you transfer. 7. The discipline of detachment. Emotional command requires space between you and what happens. Someone criticizes you. Someone disrespects you. Someone misinterprets your intentions. The follower reacts. The leader observes. Learn to create internal distance, a psychological buffer. Tell yourself, it's data, not drama. When you detach, you think clearly. When you think clearly, you choose strategically. And strategy always beats emotion. Detachment isn't apathy. It's perspective. You still feel, but you're not owned by the feeling. That's the difference between being emotional and being emotionally intelligent. 8. Training emotional reflexes. You can't wait until crisis to practice control. It has to become habit. Try this drill daily. 1. Remember a situation that triggers you. 2. Visualize it vividly. 3. Then imagine yourself breathing, slowing, responding with composure. You're rehearsing new neural pathways. Each repetition builds emotional muscle memory. Soon, your default under stress won't be anger or panic. It'll be composure. That's the rewiring of leadership. 9. Repetition, the command phrase. Every chapter in this book has an anchor phrase. Here's yours. Pressure doesn't break you. Reaction does. Pressure doesn't define you. Your control does. Pressure doesn't crush leaders. It reveals them. Repeat that until it becomes truth. Because your voice under pressure is only as strong as your discipline in emotion. 10. Bringing it all together. When emotion rises, breathe. When your heart races, slow down. When your body tenses, relax deliberately. When your thoughts speed up, speak slower. You are not your feeling. You are the force that directs it. Emotion is a tool. It was never meant to lead you. It was meant to serve you. Leaders who command emotion command environments. They don't fake calm. They train it. They don't avoid stress. They absorb it and turn it into performance. That's the ultimate advantage under pressure. You remain human, but never reactive. You've now built the emotional backbone of leadership. You've learned how to turn adrenaline into presence, fear into awareness, and anger into focus. But now it's time to master the next level, the words you use when the world is watching. Your voice is calm. Your emotion is disciplined. Now it's time to speak with clarity that commands. Chapter 4. The Language of Calm Authority. Words are energy. They either escalate pressure or dissolve it. Most people speak to release emotion. Leaders speak to create direction. Calm authority isn't just what you say. It's how, when, and why you say it. It's communication built on control, not reaction. This chapter teaches you to choose words that carry gravity, clarity, and confidence, even when tension is high. Because when you master language, you no longer chase control. You sound like control. 1. Tone before text. The first message anyone hears is not your words, it's your tone. Before people process meaning, they process feeling. They decide, do I trust this voice? If your tone is frantic, they feel danger. If it's calm, they feel safe. That's why authority begins with tone control. Drop the pitch. Slow the rhythm. Remove filler noises. Like, you know. Every unnecessary sound leaks power. You can say something brilliant, but if your tone shakes, they'll remember the fear, not the wisdom. Leaders use tone as an emotional shield. They send one clear signal. I'm centered. Follow me. Tone before text. Always. 2. Clarity over chaos. Under pressure, cluttered language creates confusion. Confusion breeds anxiety, and anxiety kills leadership. So simplify. Short sentences. concrete words, direct statements. Don't say, "I think we might need to consider doing this." Say, "Here's what we'll do." Don't say, "Maybe we could try." Say, "Let's execute this first." Clarity builds trust because it removes uncertainty. People don't want poetry under pressure. They want direction. Your words must cut through noise like a blade. Clean, calm, decisive. Repetition anchor. Clarity over chaos, always. When stakes rise, emotion hijacks vocabulary. People exaggerate, defend, or accuse. They use words to fight, not to lead. Leaders do the opposite. They speak in evidence, not emotion. Instead of, "This is a disaster," say, "Here's what happened, and here's what we'll fix first." Instead of, "You never listen," say, "Let's revisit the last decision together." Notice the shift from blame to data, from heat to logic. Emotion inflames. Evidence informs. And the person who informs the room automatically leads it. 4. Command phrases. There are certain phrases that carry instant authority. They signal control, structure, and forward motion. Memorize them. Use them. Here's what happens next. Let's pause for a moment. We'll decide after verifying the facts. Take a breath. We'll handle this one step at a time. Each one tells the listener there is a plan. And where there's a plan, there's safety. Leadership language isn't about dominance. It's about direction. Your calm phrasing becomes everyone else's stability. 5. Eliminate defensive speech. When people feel cornered, they defend. They over-explain, justify, or apologize. Defensiveness drains authority. You don't need to explain every choice. You need to own it. Instead of, "I'm sorry, I just thought maybe," say, "Here's the reasoning behind that decision." Instead of, "I didn't mean to upset you," say, "Let's realign expectations." Ownership replaces apology. Defensiveness sounds like guilt. Calm authority sounds like purpose. Every time you defend, you hand away control. Every time you explain with certainty, you take it back. 6. The pace of leadership language. The faster you talk, the less people trust you. Speed signals anxiety. Leadership speech is rhythmic, almost musical. Every phrase lands like a drumbeat. Statement, pause, statement, pause. This rhythm tells the subconscious, this person knows where they're going. Try this. Record yourself giving directions at 2 speeds, fast and slow. You'll hear the difference. One sounds rushed. The other sounds inevitable. That's the secret. Inevitability. Your words should feel like gravity. Calm, steady, undeniable. 7. Remove verbal filler. Filler words are verbal static. They make your speech sound hesitant. Remove phrases like, "I think," "kind of," You know? Basically, replace them with silence. Every filler deleted adds one layer of power. When in doubt, stop talking. Let your words breathe. Empty space in speech creates impact. It makes listeners fill the silence with respect. 8. Speaking from vision, not emotion. Leaders speak from purpose, not pain. They communicate the why, not the worry. When emotion tempts you to react, ask, "What vision do I want to project right now?" Then speak from that. If your vision is order, sound ordered. If your vision is strength, sound unshakable. If your vision is calm, sound composed. You shape reality through verbal direction. Because language isn't reflection, it's creation. 9. The energy behind your words. Every word carries emotional temperature. Hot words burn trust. Cold words freeze connection. Find the balance, neutral warmth. Speak firmly, but never with heat. Speak warmly, but never with weakness. That equilibrium is what makes a leader magnetic. You're approachable, but unshakable. Human, but not reactive. That's the sound of calm authority. 10. Anchor repetition and transition. Let's lock this in. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Clarity over chaos. Always. Certainty over noise. Always. Calm over conflict. Always. Your tone is your presence. Your words are your blueprint. And your rhythm is your power. From this chapter forward, you don't just speak, you design how the room feels. Your communication is no longer reaction. It's regulation. Every sentence, every pause, every tone sculpted to convey one message. I am calm, I am certain, I am in control. You've learned to command through clarity. Now it's time to learn how to lead through listening. Chapter 5. Listen before you lead. Most people think leadership is about speaking. It's not. It's about hearing what others can't say out loud. You don't lead by talking more. You lead by understanding deeper. In moments of pressure, followers react. Leaders listen. They don't rush to fill silence. They use silence to receive information others miss. They listen beyond words to tone, rhythm, tension, and emotion. Because true authority isn't built by commanding attention. It's built by earning it through presence, patience, and understanding. 1. The myth of constant talking. Weak communicators talk to prove. Strong communicators talk to move. But elite leaders? They talk less and listen strategically. They know when you speak, you repeat what you already know. When you listen, you learn what you don't. In every conversation, power belongs to the one who understands the most, and understanding requires silence. When you stop interrupting, when you stop rehearsing your next sentence, when you start hearing people, you gain data, insight, and leverage. Talking fills the air. Listening fills your mind. That's why the most dominant voice in any room is often the one that waits longest to speak. 2. Listening as emotional intelligence. Most people don't want advice. They want acknowledgement. They don't need answers first. They need to be seen. Leaders who understand this win loyalty for life. When you listen with genuine focus, you say, "You matter. Your input matters. Your emotions are valid." That alone disarms defensiveness. It calms tension before a word of instruction leaves your mouth. Listening is emotional intelligence in motion. It's how you connect logic to emotion, information to trust. Never forget, listening is control in disguise. Because the one who understands everyone else's emotions can direct their energy with precision. 3. The mechanics of deep listening. There are 3 levels of listening. Level 1, surface hearing. You hear words but wait to reply. You nod, but you're thinking of your turn. Level 2, active listening. You engage, you ask, you summarize, you clarify. Better, but still external. Level 3, intent listening. You go beneath words. You detect tone, hesitation, tension. You read what's unsaid. That's where leadership lives. When you can decode the emotion behind the sentence, you lead from wisdom, not assumption. Every word hides a message. Listen for what people mean, not what they say. 4. The 3-second rule. Here's a discipline every powerful communicator uses. After someone finishes speaking, wait 3 seconds before responding. Don't rush. Don't jump in. That 3-second pause tells them, "I actually heard you. I'm processing before I answer." It also buys you time to form a stronger, calmer reply. Try it. At first, it'll feel slow. But soon, you'll notice people start leaning in because your words begin carrying weight. In a world addicted to interruption, silence feels like strength. 5. Listening builds trust. People trust those who make them feel heard. Not agreed with, heard. Trust doesn't come from titles. It comes from attention. You could have all the authority in the world, but if people feel you don't listen, they'll resist your direction. But once they feel you understand them, they'll walk through fire for you. That's why listening is not a soft skill. It's a survival skill for leadership. Repetition anchor. Listening builds loyalty faster than speeches ever will. 6. Listening for information, not validation. When you listen, are you gathering data or waiting to defend yourself? Most people don't listen to learn. They listen to respond, to protect ego, to appear smart. That's not listening. That's waiting. Real listening is selfless. It's the removal of me from the conversation. It's the art of becoming fully present to what the other person is expressing, not how it makes you feel. Every time you silence the ego, your influence grows. Because ego talks. Wisdom listens. 7. Listening in conflict. When arguments happen, most people raise their voices. Leaders lower them and open their ears. In conflict, listening does 3 things. 1. It slows the pace of escalation. 2. It exposes what's actually driving emotion. 3. It earns respect by showing restraint. You can't defuse what you don't understand. When you truly listen, you'll find that half of what people say isn't about you. It's about their own fear, pressure, or misunderstanding. Once you hear that, your compassion rises. And from compassion comes control. You don't have to win every argument. You just have to understand it better than anyone else. 8. The body language of listening. Your silence must be visible. Because people don't just hear listening, they see it. Maintain eye contact. Lean slightly forward. Keep your face neutral. Don't fidget. Don't look away. When you project stillness, you project power. The body that moves less commands more. The listener who reacts less controls more. Listening is not passive. It's poised attention. Every movement communicates. I'm grounded. I'm present. I'm here. 9. Strategic listening. Not every word deserves equal attention. Leaders listen selectively. They listen for patterns, for inconsistencies, for unspoken fears, for opportunities hidden inside complaints. When someone talks for 5 minutes, there's usually one sentence that matters. Your job is to find it. That's strategic listening, extracting signal from noise. It turns conversations into intelligence, and intelligence into influence. 10. Anchor repetition and transition. Let's burn this in. Listen before you lead. Observe before you act. Understand before you decide. That's not slowness, that's precision. When you listen first, you speak less but mean more. Your decisions become smarter. Your influence becomes deeper. Your presence becomes magnetic. Because the person who listens the best leads the best. You've learned to command emotion and speak with clarity. Now it's time to master the art of projecting control without saying a single word. Listening gives you insight. Stillness gives you power. You've heard enough. Now let's talk about the power of saying nothing and what your silence communicates before you speak. Chapter 6. Neutral face. Neutral tone. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it stands still. In moments of chaos, people look for cues. They scan faces. They listen for tone. They ask, "Are we safe?" Not with words, but with eyes. If your face shows panic, they panic. If your tone shakes, they doubt. But if your face is calm and your tone is neutral, you become the anchor in the storm. Leaders project stability when everything else feels unstable. They don't mirror emotion, they manage it. This chapter is about building that quiet, steady presence, the kind that says, "I'm in control," without a single word. 1. The science of calm expression. Humans are wired for emotional mimicry. We copy the expressions we see. That's why one anxious person can infect a room in seconds. But the opposite is true too. One composed face can settle a crowd. Your face is a broadcast system. It tells others how to feel before you even speak. So when tension rises, your first job is physical. Neutralize your expression. Relax your jaw. Unclench your eyebrows. Soften your eyes. Keep your mouth still. You're not suppressing emotion, you're controlling the signal. And whoever controls the signal controls the room. 2. Neutral doesn't mean cold. Some people mistake neutrality for distance. They think being calm means being emotionless. Wrong. Neutrality is not detachment, it's discipline. You still feel, you still care. You just don't let it spill out uncontrolled. Think of it like water behind glass. It's there, it's powerful, but it's contained. Your calm face tells people, I'm steady enough to handle this. That's what people want from leaders, not emotionless perfection, but composed reliability. 3. The power of predictability. Emotional stability builds psychological safety. People trust what they can predict. When your reactions are consistent, your team relaxes. When they never know how you'll respond, they tense up. Consistency is leadership. A neutral face and tone are visual proof of that consistency. It tells everyone, no matter what happens, I'll respond with logic, not chaos. That predictability is not boring, it's power. 4. Training the unreactive face. Most people have micro-reactions. Tiny flinches, raised eyebrows, smirks, eye rolls, signals that leak emotion. These are automatic, but they can be trained. Here's a simple drill. 1. Stand in front of a mirror. 2. Say difficult or emotional sentences. 3. Watch your face, every twitch, every lift. 4. Repeat until your face stays calm. You're teaching your muscles to obey your mind. Another technique, film yourself during a stressful conversation or debate. You'll notice how often your expression betrays what you're thinking. Then practice staying still. Stillness equals control. Control equals authority. 5. The tone of composure. Your voice can betray what your face hides. That's why neutral tone is just as critical. When emotions run high, lower your pitch slightly. Slow your pace. End sentences firmly, not with uncertainty. A steady tone tells the brain, this person is safe. This person knows. Avoid sarcasm, edge, or sharpness. They sound defensive. Avoid monotone. It sounds detached. Find the middle ground. Measured, grounded, deliberate. Speak as if every word is chosen on purpose. Because when your tone stays calm, your message stays powerful. 6. The mirror effect. The room mirrors the leader. If you project frustration, frustration spreads. If you project calm, calm multiplies. This is called emotional contagion, the silent chain reaction that defines group behavior. You can't stop emotion from entering a room, but you can decide whether it spreads or stops. When your tone is neutral and your face steady, you become an emotional firewall. Chaos hits you and ends with you. That's leadership. Absorbing instability and giving back certainty. 7. Silence as reinforcement. A neutral expression paired with silence creates gravity. People fill silence with their own thoughts. They interpret your calm as confidence. They start to weigh their words more carefully. Silence plus stillness equals psychological dominance, not through force, but through composure. Try this. Intense discussions, say less and observe more. Hold neutral expression, soft eyes, steady posture. You'll notice the other person begins to self-regulate. That's not manipulation. That's emotional regulation by example. 8. Recovery after emotional slip. You're human. Sometimes you'll react. Your tone will rise. Your face will tighten. That's okay. What matters is recovery. As soon as you notice it, breathe. Reset your posture. Lower your tone. Reclaim neutrality. People don't need you to be flawless. They need you to be self-correcting. Every recovery reinforces credibility. It proves you're aware and in control again. 9. Repetition, the control phrase. Repeat this until it becomes second nature. Stillness speaks louder than panic. Neutral is powerful. Calm is contagious. These aren't just words. They're commands to your nervous system. The next time you face tension, recall them silently. Let them ground your face, steady your tone, and slow your heart rate. Because leadership under pressure begins with the body, not the speech. 10. Integration and transition. Neutral face, neutral tone, maximum authority. It's not about acting robotic. It's about creating emotional space for others to find balance. Your calmness becomes their cue. Your stability becomes their safety. You no longer react. You regulate. You no longer perform. You project. You no longer lead by words. You lead by presence. From this chapter forward, your body becomes a symbol of composure. You don't just say, "I'm calm." You show it, silently, effortlessly, powerfully. You've mastered the external signs of control. Now it's time to understand how to use that control when pressure becomes performance, when the spotlight turns on and everyone's watching. You've learned to control your face. You've mastered your tone. Now it's time to perform under pressure, not by acting, but by embodying power. Chapter 7. Pressure as performance. Pressure is not your enemy. It's your stage. Most people treat pressure like danger. Leaders treat it like a spotlight. When stakes rise, eyes turn to you. In that instant, the question isn't, "Are you nervous?" It's, Are you ready to perform? Because leadership under pressure isn't about perfection. It's about poise. You don't escape pressure. You perform through it. 1. The myth of confidence. People think confidence means no fear. That's wrong. Confidence is performing despite fear. Every pilot feels turbulence. Every surgeon feels responsibility. Every speaker feels heartbeat and sweat. Confidence isn't comfort. It's control under discomfort. When you walk into a high-stakes moment, stop trying to feel fearless. Just focus on execution, because performance begins when emotion ends. You don't need to eliminate adrenaline. You need to channel it. 2. Reframing pressure. Pressure and anxiety feel identical in your body. The only difference is the story you tell yourself. The follower says something's wrong. The leader says something important is happening. That's the reframe. Pressure means significance. It means your presence matters. Tell yourself this before every challenge. I'm not under threat. I'm under test. And tests are where leaders are made. 3. Preparation is peace. You can't control outcomes, but you can control readiness. Preparation converts fear into focus. When you rehearse, visualize, and anticipate, your mind stops treating pressure as chaos. It sees it as choreography. Every elite performer follows the same equation. Preparation equals familiarity equals calm. You fear the unknown, so make it known. Before a speech, walk the stage. Before a negotiation, rehearse objections. Before a crisis, plan your first 10 sentences. When you prepare enough, pressure becomes predictable. 4. Adrenaline as fuel. Adrenaline isn't bad. It's energy, raw, neutral energy. It can flood your brain, or it can feed your performance. It depends on your frame. When your heart races, say, "Perfect, my body's powering up." When your hands shake, say, "My system is ready." Athletes call this the performance state. They don't fight adrenaline, they ride it. You can't be calm all the time, but you can be collected, intense but intentional. That's leadership under pressure. 5. The role of ritual. Every performer has rituals, not superstition, structure. Rituals tell your nervous system, "We've been here before." A deep breath, a slow exhale, a sentence you repeat silently. I control my state. It could be straightening your jacket, stretching your hands, or reviewing a single note. Simple, repeatable actions that anchor your brain in routine. Rituals don't eliminate stress, they organize it. They remind you that this isn't panic, this is performance. 6. Presence under spotlight. When everyone's watching, your mind tries to escape to the future. What if I mess up? What if they judge me? That's distraction. Bring yourself back with 3 words. Right here, now. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your breath in your chest. Look at one person, not the crowd. Presence is the antidote to pressure. You can't control the whole room, but you can control this moment, this word, this breath. That's where power lives, in the present tense. 7. Visualizing success before it happens. Your brain rehearses reality. If you keep replaying failure, it believes failure is the goal. So visualize performance the way athletes do. See yourself walking in calmly. See your tone steady. Hear your words land clean. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between memory and imagination. So give it the movie you want to live. Visualization turns fear into familiarity, and familiarity breeds confidence. 8. Commanding through composure. In crisis, people search for the calmest person. That's who they follow. When chaos erupts, slow your breathing. Stand tall. Speak less. That composure becomes contagious. Your calm creates order. That's what pressure as a performance truly means. You turn stress into stagecraft. You use the environment to project leadership. You don't hide the weight, you carry it visibly, gracefully, deliberately. 9. Micro-adjustments in the moment. Even the best performances go off script. A question throws you off. A mistake happens. Something unexpected occurs. Don't panic. Adjust. Pause. Smile. Breathe. Continue. People don't judge mistakes. They judge recovery. Every comeback after a stumble increases trust. Remember this mantra. The audience doesn't see the nerves, only the narrative. Keep the story strong, and the slip disappears. 10. Repetition, the performance creed. Say this until it becomes instinct. You don't escape pressure, you perform through it. You don't fear the spotlight, you use it. You don't shrink in the storm, you stand in it. Pressure will always test you, but it's not trying to break you, it's trying to reveal you. And every time you perform under it, you get stronger, sharper, calmer. Integration and transition. Pressure is the price of significance. You asked for growth. Pressure is the answer. From now on, stop hoping for easy moments. Train for hard ones. Because ease never builds greatness. Pressure does. You've learned to perform through the storm. Now it's time to master the precision of speech itself. Because even under control, your words still decide outcomes. And discipline in language is the next level of mastery. You've handled the moment. Now learn to shape it, word by word, phrase by phrase, with surgical intent. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Word Choice. Every word is a weapon. Every sentence is a decision. Leaders don't talk to fill time. They talk to create motion. And under pressure, words carry weight. The wrong word ignites emotion. The right word restores control. This chapter is about precision, how to choose language that leads, calms, and commands. Because great communication isn't about saying more. It's about saying exactly enough. 1. Language reflects discipline. Your words mirror your mind. If your language is scattered, your thinking is scattered. If your sentences are sharp, your thinking is sharp. That's why the disciplined mind speaks clearly. Listen to people who ramble, over-explain, or justify. They don't sound weak, they sound untrained. Train your speech like a soldier trains his weapon. Every word deliberate, every phrase aimed, every pause intentional. Because careless language creates careless leadership. 2. The emotional temperature of words. Words carry emotion, heat or calm. Problem, hot. Situation, neutral. Crisis, hot. Challenge, controlled. Leaders know how to cool the language when emotions run high. Instead of, "This is a disaster," say, "This needs attention." Instead of, "You failed," say, "We'll adjust this." You're not lying, you're managing state. Because language sets temperature. And people perform best in calm air, not heat. Every phrase you speak either increases panic or decreases it. That's the discipline. Adjust your vocabulary to regulate emotion. 3. Cut the noise. Under pressure, clarity is everything. So remove the noise, filler, fluff, and unnecessary detail. Don't say, "Well, what I was kind of trying to explain was," say, "Here's what matters." Don't say, "Basically, the thing we're maybe trying to do." Say, "Our next move is this." Each extra word weakens impact. Each simplified phrase strengthens it. Clarity is kindness. Confusion is cruelty. Your people can't follow what you can't articulate. Repetition anchor. Discipline isn't silence, it's precision. 4. Replace emotion with structure. When the room gets emotional, use structure to restore logic. Instead of reacting, frame the conversation. Let's look at this in 3 parts. Here's the priority sequence. Let's define what success looks like. Structure brings safety. It tells the brain we have order. Emotion thrives in chaos. Leadership thrives in clarity. When you structure your speech, you build an invisible wall between emotion and action. That's verbal leadership, turning noise into narrative. 5. Speak in solutions, not problems. Followers describe. Leaders direct. Anyone can point out what's wrong. Few can say what comes next. When you speak, move conversations forward. From complaint to correction. From chaos to clarity. Don't say, "This isn't working." Say, "Here's how we'll fix it." Don't say, "I don't know." Say, "Let's find out." Your vocabulary should move energy, not drain it. Solutions are leadership in linguistic form. 6. Speak less, mean more. Power doesn't come from volume, it comes from value. Every unnecessary word steals attention. Every pause after a strong statement adds power. Think like a sculptor. You remove until only strength remains. When you speak briefly, people listen closely. When you talk endlessly, they stop hearing you. Silence after a sentence is not emptiness, it's punctuation for authority. So next time you speak, ask yourself, does this add clarity or clutter? If it adds clutter, delete it, because silence is often the most disciplined word in your vocabulary. 7. The vocabulary of leadership. Certain phrases define presence. Use these to anchor confidence and direction. Here's what I recommend. Let's focus on what we can control. This is the next logical step. Pause. We'll take this one at a time. I hear you. Let's decide. These are not just statements. They're stabilizers. They replace emotional guessing with certainty. A leader's job is not to have every answer. It's to give every moment a structure. 8. Words that build, not break. You can correct without crushing. You can disagree without disrespect. Language decides whether correction builds trust or resentment. Instead of, "You're wrong," say, "Let's look at it from another angle." Instead of, "That's a bad idea," say, "What if we refined it like this?" You're not avoiding truth. You're delivering it intelligently. A single harsh phrase can undo months of motivation. A single thoughtful word can rebuild it. Choose wisely, because leadership is a conversation, not a command. 9. The weight of final words. How you end a conversation defines how people feel leaving it. Don't end in uncertainty. End in direction. Instead of, "We'll see," say, "We'll decide by tomorrow." Instead of, "I'll think about it," say, "Here's what I'll review and when." People don't remember everything you say. They remember your last tone. Make that tone confident, calm, and clear. Leave no emotional residue, only closure. 10. Repetition, the precision creed. Say it again slowly. Discipline isn't silence, it's precision. Precision in thought, precision in tone, precision in word. Every sentence you speak under pressure is a choice. To calm or to confuse, to direct or to lose control. You've now learned to speak less, mean more, and choose words that serve clarity over chaos. That's the mark of verbal discipline, the difference between those who talk and those who transform. You've built a language that leads. Your words now shape emotion instead of reflecting it. But communication isn't only about your vocabulary. It's about your influence. You can be calm, clear, and articulate, but leadership demands more. You must move people without force, without fear, without raising your voice. True influence doesn't shout. It whispers, and everyone still listens. You've mastered your words. Now it's time to master your influence. Chapter 9. Influence without force. Real leaders don't demand obedience. They inspire alignment. They don't control people. They influence them. Force creates resistance. Influence creates loyalty. And when pressure rises, the ability to move others without intimidation, without manipulation, becomes your greatest weapon. This chapter is about that power. How to guide emotion, shape perception, and lead action through calm persuasion instead of control. 1. The illusion of control. Most people mistake compliance for influence. They think because others obey, they've led. But obedience is temporary. It disappears when pressure shifts. True influence is deeper. It changes belief, not just behavior. Force creates followers who fear you. Influence creates followers who trust you. And trust lasts longer than authority. Remember this. If people only move because you push, they'll stop the moment you walk away. But if they move because they believe, you never have to push again. 2. Calm energy versus loud energy. People often think energy equals enthusiasm. It doesn't. Energy is focus. Energy is conviction. Loud leaders drain people. Calm leaders direct them. The calm voice penetrates faster than the shouting one because it carries certainty. Certainty doesn't need to raise its tone. You don't influence people by overpowering them. You influence them by out-centering them. The calmer you are, the more people trust your stability. Because everyone's looking for someone who won't break. Repetition anchor. Lead softly, command completely. Force appeals to fear. Influence appeals to values. Don't try to win arguments. Align motives. Find what people care about. Their pride, their goals, their purpose. Then connect your vision to their values. Instead of saying, "Do this because I said so," say, "Do this because it strengthens what we both stand for." When people feel seen and included in the mission, resistance disappears. Leaders don't convince, they connect. 5. The power of validation. Influence begins with acknowledgement. Before you lead someone, make them feel understood. Because people can't hear direction until they feel heard. Say, "I understand why you feel that way. You're right, that point matters. I can see where that frustration comes from." Validation doesn't mean agreement. It means respect. And respect disarms defensiveness. Once people relax, logic can enter. You don't win minds by crushing emotion. You win emotion first, then minds follow. 6. Influence through questions. Questions are the quietest form of power. They turn control into collaboration. Instead of saying, "You need to do this," ask, "What do you think is the best next step?" Instead of, "That won't work," ask, "How could we make that more effective?" When you ask, you activate ownership. People defend their own ideas, not yours. So make your ideas theirs. That's not manipulation, it's intelligent leadership. Because the best ideas don't need to be forced, they need to be discovered. 7. The law of reciprocity. Humans naturally mirror energy. Give trust, get trust. Give respect, get respect. Give calm, receive calm. Influence without force depends on reciprocity. When you model the behavior you want, others subconsciously replicate it. If you want honesty, be transparent. If you want focus, demonstrate focus. If you want accountability, show accountability. People don't follow what you say. They follow what you are. You don't demand standards. You embody them. 8. Strategic silence. Force tries to dominate the conversation. Influence uses silence strategically. When you stop talking, others start revealing. When you stay quiet, others fill the gap with truth. Silence creates curiosity. Curiosity creates openness. Openness creates movement. You don't need to hammer your point. State it, then let silence do the persuasion. Influence isn't noise, it's presence. 9. Subtle persuasion techniques. Influence happens subtly. Here are 3 powerful methods. 1. Mirroring. Match body language, pace, and tone slightly. It builds unconscious connection. 2. Reframing. Take someone's objection and shift perspective. You're right, this is challenging. That's why it matters. 3. Future casting. Paint a vivid picture of success. People follow clarity of vision more than clarity of instruction. Remember, influence isn't control, it's choreography. You guide emotion and direction invisibly. 10. The strength of soft power. Force is reactive. Influence is deliberate. Force fades fast. Influence lasts forever. Soft power doesn't mean weakness. It means mastery. It's the ability to move people without them feeling moved. Your calm becomes contagious. Your tone becomes persuasive. Your example becomes education. And when you reach that level, leadership stops being something you do. It becomes something you are. Repetition, the influence creed. Say this until it sinks into instinct. Lead softly. Command completely. Influence without ego. Direct without demand. The calmest presence wins every time. You don't force people into alignment. You create alignment by embodying clarity. That's the difference between power and influence. Power requires presence. Influence creates presence. You've learned how to move people with grace, to make your presence felt without raising your voice, to lead through energy, not enforcement. But influence isn't nothing without identity, because your words, your tone, your calm, they all flow from who you believe you are. If your identity is fragile, your influence will crumble. But when your self-image aligns with the leader you're becoming, every word, every breath, every silence carries weight. You've learned to lead others, Now, it's time to speak like the person you're destined to become. Chapter 10. Speak like the person you want to be. Every word you speak is a rehearsal for your future. Every sentence either builds your next level or binds you to your past. Leaders don't speak from emotion. They speak from identity. Because how you talk when no one's listening is how you shape who you're becoming. This chapter is about alignment. Aligning your voice with your vision, your tone with your truth, and your language with your legacy. 1. The voice of identity. You can't talk like the person you used to be and expect the world to treat you like the person you're becoming. Every phrase carries self-image. When you speak timidly, you reinforce insecurity. When you speak decisively, you train confidence. Words are self-programming. Each one sends a command to your subconscious. This is who I am. So before you speak, ask, who am I right now? And if the answer isn't who you want to become, change the sentence. 2. Self-talk is leadership practice. Your inner voice trains your outer voice. If you doubt yourself privately, you'll hesitate publicly. If you criticize yourself internally, you'll apologize externally. Rewire the conversation in your head. Stop saying, I hope I don't mess this up. Start saying, I've trained for this. Stop saying, I'm nervous. Start saying, I'm ready. Your internal dialogue becomes your audible presence, and presence is power. Repetition anchor. Speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for leading. Words shape reality. Language isn't reflection, it's creation. Your words don't reflection, it's creation. Your words don't describe the world, they design it. Say, this is difficult, and your brain prepares for resistance. Say, this is training, and your brain prepares for mastery. The world listens to how you define things, and the body follows those definitions. You can't control everything that happens, but you can always control the story you tell about it. That story, told in your own voice, is your reality. 4. Consistency between voice and vision. Your words, tone, and behavior must agree. If they contradict, people won't believe you. When your tone says calm, but your eyes say chaos, trust collapses. When your words promise strength, but your energy shows doubt, credibility fades. The solution is alignment. Let every channel, body, tone, language, broadcast the same frequency. Leadership is coherence. When all parts of you speak the same message, the world listens. 5. Speak from vision, not circumstance. Anyone can speak from reaction. Leaders speak from vision. Visionary speech sounds different. It's anchored in where you're going, not where you are. Don't say, we're struggling right now. Say, we're building capacity for growth. Don't say, this is overwhelming. Say, this is preparation for what's next. You're not lying. You're leading reality towards possibility. Every visionary sentence is a step toward the future you're designing. 6. The discipline of daily expression. You don't need a crowd to practice leadership language. Every conversation is rehearsal. Speak with intention to your friends. Speak with respect to your team. Speak with composure to yourself. Your habits in small talk become reflexes in high stakes. So, train daily. Every interaction is a repetition of identity. Speak as if the person you're becoming is already listening, because they are. 7. Let silence carry authority. The higher you rise, the fewer words you need. Because authority doesn't need to chase attention. Sometimes the most powerful sentence you can say is nothing, a nod, a breath, a pause. It tells the room, I decide when to speak. The future version of you doesn't rush. They measure time with composure. Speak less, but when you speak, let every word feel inevitable. 8. Rewrite your story out loud. Your past voice may have been shaped by survival, defensive, reactive, uncertain. That voice served you once, but it can't take you further. Now you're writing a new story, and that story requires a new sound. Say it audibly. I'm not who I was. I'm becoming who I choose to be. Identity is built through repetition, not reflection. So speak your future until your nervous system believes it. The story you repeat becomes the person you meet. 9. The echo effect. Your words echo after you leave the room. They keep working long after you stop speaking. That's influence. So craft sentences that deserve to echo. Replace noise with nourishment. Replace reaction with reflection. Ask yourself daily, if my last words today were my legacy, would they represent who I'm becoming? If not, choose better ones. Because your echo is your evidence. 10. The leadership voice. Say it again, slow and clear. You don't talk like your feelings. You talk like your future. You speak as the leader you're training yourself to become. Your tone is no longer accidental. Your language no longer leaks fear. Your presence no longer needs approval. You are deliberate. You are measured. You are composed. And when pressure returns, because it always does, you won't collapse. You'll breathe, you'll pause, you'll speak, and every word will remind the world who you are. Because leadership isn't a title. It's a voice. And from this moment on, your voice is that of a leader under pressure. Control your voice, and you control the room. The pause is not weakness, it's strategy. Pressure doesn't break you, reaction does. Clarity over chaos, always. Lead softly, command completely. You don't talk like your feelings. You talk like your future. That is your creed. That is your command. That is your calm. When the pressure comes, and it will, you have a choice. You can talk like everyone else, fast, defensive, emotional. Or you can talk like a leader, slow, steady, decisive. Control your breathing. Choose your words. Command your silence. That's the real language of leadership. Because the loudest person isn't the strongest, the calmest is. From this moment on, every conversation is a test of composure. Don't just speak to be heard, speak to be remembered. Lead with your tone, lead with your calm, and lead with your presence.